Welcome everyone to my Crash Bandicoot games tier list. So this tier list won't cover like the mobile games, it would just be the main games. And unfortunately this does not include Team Rumble. I could not find a 2023 updated version, but I haven't played Team Rumble anyway, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. For those of the other games that I haven't played as well, I'll put in the never played section. I have not played every Crash Bandicoot game, but that could possibly change in the future at some point, so maybe I'll update this list, but that'll be all down to you guys. But for now, I'm just going to cover the games that I have played, and I'm going to try and do this in order of games coming out if I can. So without further ado, let's start with the first game, good old Crash Bandicoot. And I've thought about it and I'm going to put it in B. So this was a great sort of introductory game to the series. I actually just love the case of Crash just, you know, walking out, like he's breaking out, like, you know, coming out of the level and he's coming out of your TV. I always really enjoyed just the art, the visuals. Like, I still think this is a really good looking PlayStation 1 game. And it introduced to, a pretty wild cast, but pretty fun cast. You know, Cortex, Dr. Embryo, all of the villains, or all the enemies that you face, Puppet Papu, Ripperoo, Pinstripe, Koala Kong, and all that. Torna, can't forget about Torna, best Torna. And of course we get introduced to Crash himself. And yeah, the presentation is great. Absolutely love the presentation, love the intro, love the story. It's a pity that it suffers from first game syndrome, where the game doesn't really control very well. The game is pretty hard and unfair. It is not a fair game. That's what really brings the game down, is that it's just unfair. It's a rough entry, right? It's got its charm for sure, but it's a rough entry. So I definitely, it's not an A and it's not an S. But I feel like there's enough of a good sort of starting point foundation where I'm like, yeah, I would personally put it in B. But then, you also have like trying to get all the gems and you can't die. You won't be able to get all the boxes otherwise. Lots of little things that kind of bring the game down, sadly. But it's still a solid start to the franchise, I would say. Not perfect, but it's first game syndrome, I suppose. You can't always get it right the first time, but what you can do is you can get the sequel right, and they did. S tier for sequel. Crash Bandicoot 2, not my favorite, but definitely I would consider it to be S tier. It is an incredible upgrade from Crash Bandicoot 1 to Crash Bandicoot 2. Everyone looks better. I think the models got all updated. Everyone looks better. Crash plays 10 times better. He can now slide, jump, and crawl, and body slam. You get introduced to new characters. Crash has a sister now, Coco. Cortex comes back. You've got Dr. Engine. You've got Tiny. Got the Komodo Bros. Ripperoo comes back. The levels look way better and they are designed way better. The game's presentation is great. Love the warp rooms. I enjoy the polar bear levels. Enjoy the chase levels. There's not really much I can really say of complaint, apart from maybe like the boss fights aren't anything special, but I feel like the boss fights in Crash Bandicoot games, they tend to be super great. They're okay, but yeah, overall it is pure Crash Bandicoot platforming, but like the best kind. It is easy top S tier for sure. So with that said, let's move on to my personal favorite, if I can find it. Where are you? There you are. So this is my personal favorite. I put it above Crash Bandicoot 2, mostly because I kind of prefer the more themes of the levels, and I don't mind some of the gimmicks. Some of the gimmicks I don't really care for. The jet skis, the motorcycle levels are, yeah, they're okay. But I don't mind the swimming levels. I don't mind the blimp levels, the plane levels. It's fun riding the Pura, the Tiger, Great Wall of China. Get to play a little bit of Coco there. Get introduced to Uka Uka, great villain. Entropy, great. Dingo Dial, great. Engine comes back with arguably the best boss fight in the series, or one of the best. Really, really fun. Really enjoy that. Music is phenomenal. Levels are phenomenal. Oh, such a great game. Love the warp rooms. I always try and complete this game, as well as Crash 2, because I just enjoy it so much. And once again, I'm a sucker for secrets, and Crash Bandicoot Warped has secrets. Love that. Absolutely. Love that. If I enjoyed the jet ski levels and the motorcycle levels weren't so bad, it would be near 10 out of 10 for me. But it still edges Crash 2 for me personally. But yeah, both games are phenomenal, and that's where I'm putting those. So this might be the last S tier game, and it's not a platformer, but it is still a phenomenal Crash Bandicoot game. It's a tricky thing because it's a racing game, but we are trying to cover the mainline games, and that does include the racing games. So this is also for me a no-brainer. CTR is, at least for me, S tier. I can see it maybe being A tier, because it can be a fairly tough kart racer. I wouldn't say it's like Crash Bandicoot tough, in my opinion, but it definitely requires a fair amount of skill, I would say, especially if you play like Mario Kart. It's definitely a bit more of a skill-based game, but I think that's why I kind of like it. I really enjoy power sliding and all that, and trying to keep the boost up and such. This game's got a lot of charm, and it is just really fun to play, whether you're just doing the adventure mode, choosing whatever character you want to play as, or whether you're just playing with your racing against your friends, or duking it out in the battle arena and just hitting each other with missiles and bombs. It is great. I love that every time you win a trophy, that character will get a little victory dance or whatever. Obviously Crash does the Crash dance, everyone else does their own sort of victory. And if they don't, right, they'll have a kind of a loser thing. Crash will just be sleeping if he's in second or third place. Cortex will be crying his eyes out. This game. And you also get introduced to Oxide, who's an absolute douchebag. But I guess he makes a great sort of, antagonist villain. He wants to turn our planet into a concrete parking lot. Okay. Or because he just wants to race us. He's like, if you win, it's fine. And he's a sore loser and he cheats and stuff and whatnot. And yeah, you even get a bit more voice acting as well with some of the boss fights and such and whatnot. Except Ripperoo, he just kind of laughs at you. But no, this game is really fun. It is such a great kart racer. Yeah, it is. Arguably, it probably is still my favorite. It's definitely a cross between that and Nitro-Fueled, which Nitro-Fueled is really just CTR, but they just added a ton of crap to it. But yeah. For me, it's S tier. Anyway, I'm gonna move on before I keep mumbling like a moron. So, okay. Crash Bash. I'm gonna put it in B, and I think that's fair. Yeah, B for Bash. So, sometimes I can have fun with this game, casually, playing with friends. There are a couple of mini games here and there that I actually don't mind, but everything else I'm just kind of if I'm honest. And I don't think the adventure mode is great. I don't think it's great. I'm not the biggest fan of having to go through pretty much the entirety of said adventure mode to unlock the other games. Maybe it was a little bit short, and there are even some that require you to really go out of your way to unlock these extra games, like getting the relics, and it's well, why do I have to go through so much effort going through these same mini games over and over again just at the chance to unlock another mini game? And it's, yeah, the adventure mode is not great. It's not great. It really drags the game down, and I also think like the mini games, a lot of these are just repeated, but they look slightly different, or they've got like a slightly different gimmick. Yeah, it needed a lot more variety, but I'd be lying if I didn't say that sometimes I do have fun. I feel like I usually find I get the most fun if I ever get the chance to play it with friends, or at least when I was growing up I was playing it with friends. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's C bad, but it's definitely not A tier, so that's where I'm putting it. I'm sticking to it. Crash Bash is B. Let me know if you want to make your own Crash tier list. You can just do it in the comments. That's perfectly fine. Where you want to rank the Crash Bandicoot games, you can do that, or let me know. Alright, so unfortunately I think we're going to continue the not S tier, the downwards. the rise and fall of Crash Bandicoot. But I don't think this is unfair, because I feel like people would actually put this in C, and I was going to, but I think that might be a little bit unfair, so I'm going to put it in B. So Crash Bandicoot, the Wrath of Cortex. It basically tried to be Crash Bandicoot Warped, but in my opinion it failed. We didn't get a sequel to Warped until much later, like a proper sequel. Wrath of Cortex was kind of like a rewind in a way. It's like they just wanted to try and do it again. But it just wasn't as good, in my opinion. They took arguably the worst parts of Warped and they amplified it. They just threw a ton of vehicles, gimmicks at you. The water levels are awful. Crash, although he doesn't control terrible, he doesn't control nearly as good as the classics. But I guess, you know, it is a different company, unfortunately. So I mean, you know, they did what they could, but you know, Crash isn't the very, like, he feels a lot slower, especially when you climb, right? So the controls aren't as good. Some of the levels are okay, but a lot of the themes are kind of whatever. You know, there's too many gimmicks, right? There's too many gimmicks, there's too many vehicles. Crunch, to me, just isn't very interesting in this game. The boss fights aren't great either. The masks don't really interest me outside of them being voiced by like Mark Hamill and like I forget his name, but the guy kind of like the antagonist in Back to the Future, and then you've got the voice actor who does like Animaniacs and such, you know, like outside of like the interesting cast of voices, the game just wasn't very interesting to me. But I also don't think it's terrible. You know, some of the levels are fine. I actually quite like the first level of the game. That's fine. The game's okay. You know, but it's definitely one of the games where I'm like, okay, I don't want to complete this 106% or whatever. I just want to play it casually, and I'm good, right? That's kind of where I'm at. I just don't think they quite captured the essence of Crash Bandicoot Warped. I think they tried it, and they just tried a little bit too hard, right? And I guess they missed the memo of thinking that they needed more gimmicks, more vehicles, and a lot of this stuff don't even control very well either. So it just feels like, again, a sort of a budget downgraded Crash Bandicoot Warped. Sorry, not sorry. And I'm probably making it sound a lot worse than where I've actually put it, which is B. But I'm gonna say it's a B, hovering over a C, to be honest. I don't enjoy this game, which is a shame, because when I first bought it, I was really hoping it was going to be a lot better than what it was, and it just ended up being kind of you know, at least for me. So that's where I'm sticking to it. You're lucky I didn't put it in the C, so there you go. So this is where things get sketchy. I think this is where some of the handheld stuff comes in. I haven't really played them. I think I played maybe one of them, but I didn't beat it. So I'm gonna, like, I feel like from what I've seen from like Crash Bandicoot 2: The Huge Adventure, I feel like, or whatever the European version, I forget which. It's two different names. I forget. Like, is it like one's like XS or something, extra something small? I don't know. It'd probably be an A. But I haven't, like, I think I might have played a little bit. I haven't probably completed it. So unfortunately, now this is a game I would like to play, but I've never had a Game Boy Advance. At this rate, I'm gonna have to just like maybe get the game, maybe try and buy a Game Boy Advance somewhere pre-owned and play it someday. We'll see, or emulator, I don't know. But yeah, I've never played it, and I actually do think, from what I've seen and what I've heard, that it's probably one of the better games after Naughty Dog. I don't know if it's Nitro Kart that comes afterwards, or if it's the other. Actually, Crash Bandicoot 2, which I think is what this one is. I'll put it in never played. Again, I think this is just more of the other game. They both seem like fairly solid games, but I've never played them. But what I have played is a Nitro Kart, which is, I'm trying to find it actually. This is a different cover than what I'm used to, but I'm thinking this is the one. Nitro Kart, I would say, I'll say A. Yeah, it's not S tier. I would say it's definitely above Crash Bash. It's definitely above Wrath of Cortex. I would argue it's kind of above Crash Bandicoot. Again, it's a different style of game. Yeah, I almost feel like I wanna put it between A and B. I don't know if it's quite an A, but I still think it's above the B tier somewhat, if only just. The game is okay. It's just basically it's CTR again, but not as good. But it's still decent. I wouldn't say it's terrible. It doesn't control like 100% the same or anything like that. But it's decent. I feel like CTR for me has more memorable tracks, but the game is decent. That's all I can say. The game is decent. So yeah, I don't know. A might be too high, but I guess I'm gonna stick with it. So yeah, it is what it is. I haven't played. I don't know when this. Where is it? Oh, maybe it's not on this one. I think there's like a handheld version of Nitro Kart. Never played that. I don't think it's on here though. I don't know when Boom Bang came out, but I'm gonna put it here. I've never played it, and it sounds like I don't want to. So it sounds like I'm not missing out. Same with yeah, the Crash and Spyro crossover. Oops, not great from what I hear. So yeah, don't really want to play that anytime soon. I will put Twinsanity here though. Actually, I personally like Twinsanity. It's a different type of Crash Bandicoot game, and it's not for everyone. It's definitely got a lot of mixed opinions. This is very controversial, Crash Twinsanity. Some of the humor I actually quite like. Some of it is a bit cheesy, but I honestly think this is some of Cortex's best performances. You get some great moments in this game, and you get to team up with Cortex, which is an interesting mechanic of the game. I've also got a bit of a soft spot for the music as well, and so in a way, Twinsanity is sort of like an open world game, sort of. Where it's very big open areas. They're not your traditional hallway type of levels, which is what most of us are used to, and a lot of people don't like that, and I can understand that, and that's absolutely fine. It's basically, this game is a lot more goofy and light-hearted, even though, you know, you got these weird evil birds who apparently can like vaporize us and destroy our world and stuff, but it's very comedic, it's very light-hearted, and I feel like I've just got a bit of a soft spot for the game. It's unfinished, it's got its problems, there are some things that are a bit unfair about it in my opinion, but overall I do enjoy the game. I do have fun with it, so I am confident that I'm putting it in A tier. It's definitely not quite S tier, but it's still pretty good, in my opinion. Right. Now I think I've got this right. Well, I'm going to put this game here because I've never played that either. It is tag team racing, isn't it? Yeah, tag team racing is probably a B. Or is it a C? Ooh. I haven't put anything in C. I haven't put anything in C. Yeah, you know what? It's going in C. I'm sorry. This game is boring, in my opinion. Tag team racing is just boring. I had more fun playing the bowling minigame. Yeah, I'm not kidding. I remember lending this game to my cousin on PSP, and he beat it, like, I think within a day. For whatever reason, he seemed to really take a liking to the game. I mean, it's easy, but it's kind of the part of the problem. It's like no effort, and it's definitely a different experience compared to like Crash Team Racing and Nitro Kart. They're obviously trying to go for something different, but the game doesn't play anything like those games. It doesn't even handle the same way. The whole tag mechanic is basically just, let's just tag with someone, let your AI drive, and you just shoot everything, and you just win. It's very easy. It's not a hard game. I also think they kind of took the goofiness from Twinsanity, and they kind of just overdid it. Yeah, it's weird. Some of the models look weird and such, and yeah, I don't know. I didn't really enjoy this game, to be honest. Again, I feel like they tried a bit too hard, tried to be funny in places with the random dioramas and some of the cheesy jokes. I'm like, yeah, I think you're trying a bit too hard here, sadly. So yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't really enjoy. I don't think it was like terrible, but I just wasn't really, like, I kind of had to push myself to beat the game just because I was bored. I wasn't really engaged with the game, but I've played worse. So there you go. So that's tag team racing. Speaking of worse, sorry but not sorry, I played it for the first time on stream, and I told myself maybe it won't be as bad as what I've been hearing. I was wrong. My first experience will hopefully be my last. I do not want to touch this game ever again. It sucks. And I'm not just talking about the weird tribal tattoos that Crash and some of the other characters have, and the weird like model change designs. This was like, again, a sort of a Sonic Boom moment where it's like, this is like a reboot / different universe type of shit, where it's like Uka Uka doesn't even look like Uka Uka anymore, and I don't know what they did to Aku Aku, and what the hell is going on with a lot of these models. I don't know. And it's like the game at times tries to be a platformer, but fails, and then like they push you to use these monsters, basically the Titans, to smack around the opponent. And I don't know, I had such a hard like time with these Titans, and I would just get killed and overwhelmed, and anytime like I'd get knocked off, I'd try to get onto another Titan, and a lot of the time I'd just get smacked about and wouldn't even get a chance to do anything, and I would just get game overs after game overs after game overs. I don't know if I was doing something wrong, but I was not enjoying it. The fact that you have Crash has become a beat 'em up, I'm not a fan of that in general. It didn't work for Sonic Unleashed. It doesn't work here. It doesn't really work for Spyro either. But it works better for Spyro, in my opinion. They made it work better. I enjoy it more in the Legend of Spyro games. But yeah, this game, I just didn't like anything of it. And also, I don't know if it was my copy of the game, but I had a lot of like collision issues, glitches. I had the game literally like loop me back. I beat a boss fight, and then the game said I game overed after I beat the boss fight, and I know I did because it said level cleared, but then it said you game overed immediately, and it reset me back. It was, I don't know what was going on. Brand new copy and everything, but I just had such a bad time that I don't want to touch this game with a barge pole. Like, keep it away from me, go away. Sorry, not sorry. That's where it's belonging, in the trash. So there you go. Speaking of potential trash, I haven't played this either, but because Titan was such a bad experience, I mean, it looks like it's just more. Mind of a Mutant just looks like more. But since I haven't played it, I've got no opinion on it. I'm putting it there. For some reason, the Insane Trilogy is on here twice. That's weird. Not the Insane Trilogy, Crash 4. But okay. Alright, we're coming towards the end. Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. Ooh. No, I'm gonna put that there. Now, the only reason why I was hovering over A is because I would debate that you could argue that the Insane Trilogy might not actually be as good, but it's definitely up there. But I think it would be fair. I think A and S, like between A and S, I think it's fair, because the thing is, right, I would argue that the Insane Trilogy improves Crash Bandicoot 1 the most, because it's a remake of all three of the games. Visually, they all look fantastic. But Crash Bandicoot 1, I feel like, had the most improvement. They changed some things for the better, right? They made it easier to get gems, for example. And overall, Crash controls the same pretty much throughout all three of the games, but he controls so much better. Don't quite control the same as the classics, of course, but way better than Crash Bandicoot 1 did, which you do need to get used to, because the game still is the same, right? It's just that the controls are different, so that is something you have to get used to. But I would still argue that it's better for it. It's just something you have to get used to. But Crash 1 is still Crash 1. It just, you know, it looks prettier, I suppose. You know, updated visuals. You know, both games look great though, and Crash 2 and Crash 3, you know, are really good. There are some things I like about the Insane Trilogy and some things I don't like about the Insane Trilogy. So, you know, this is why I say this could be A or S. But since I would say they're very solid remakes of the originals, but I would still go back to the originals from time to time personally. Nostalgia, and also like I said, there are some things I definitely prefer in the original than the Insane Trilogy. So yeah, and I'm debating about putting it to A, if I'm honest. Again, like, an A isn't bad. It's just, I think, like, again, biased opinion, I'm thinking I just might overall, like, at least in terms of Crash Bandicoot 2 and 3, I feel like I probably prefer the originals 2 and 3, at least, to the Insane Trilogy. But nah, you know what? We'll leave it. We'll keep it there. We'll keep it there. But I'm definitely on the mind of that. This could be A or S. Like, I don't think it would be bad if it was an A. It's definitely not a B. It's a really good remake. It's just personal preferences. There are some things where I'm like, I prefer this in Crash 2 and 3. And there are some things in Insane Trilogy that I might actually like more, and stuff like that. So, you know, it's very, very hit and miss. But overall, I think they did a fairly solid job. It's just more of the classics, so I can't complain. Alright, now this is an S tier. Oh, no, I said S tier. This game is phenomenal. It's just, as I say, it's just more Crash Team Racing with just a buttload of stuff. Characters, Crash Nitro Kart levels, new levels, like a bunch of different challenges you can do. I'm pretty sure the game's actually faster in this game. You know, this is a phenomenal remake, in my opinion, and it had so much free content that you could get. We don't talk about the microtransactions, but you know, that's Activision, unfortunately, kind of ruined things there. But, you know, ignoring that, the game is incredible. The presentation is on point. You know, the music tracks, remix and stuff like they have are really good, are solid. The game is just really fun playing a solo with friends. There's some, you know, there's some updates, like being able to actually choose your kart racer at any point, because you couldn't do that in the original. Once you chose, like, say, Crash, you were stuck with him. But this time in adventure mode, you can toggle the option basically to do an adventure mode where I can literally switch to any character after every race, or before every race, I should say, before and after. You know, if I want to play as Cortex 1 minute and then I don't know, Tiny the next, I can. So that's great. The game has been designed so that it doesn't really matter what character you play as. So that's always cool. But no, it's just more CTR, right? It's just more CTR, and it's so much fun. All right, final game. I don't know why there's 2 there, but I'm gonna worry about it. Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time. Yeah, it really was about time. If I was solely talking about completing this game, this would probably be a B to a C. I actually think going for everything sucks. Absolutely sucks. And I want to forget completing this game for a damn video. Well, and partly just I wanted to see. Yeah, regret. Mistakes were made. Doing everything is not fun. I enjoy it in Crash 2, and I enjoy it in Crash 3. Some of the platinum relics can be tough, but Crash Bandicoot 4 is just like, let's just take the things that people didn't like about Crash Bandicoot 1, shove it in here, and then just like make this game like the most I don't know how to describe it, but like let's just throw a ton of things right in this game for people to complete. Right, let's add a new type of relic. Let's add these flashback tapes that you have to then find, and then you have to do these flashback tape challenges on top of like 6 or 7 gems that you gotta get, and 1 hidden gem or whatever. And then there's the colored gems, and oh my god, there's so much. There's too much. And let's put some boxes in dickish places, and it's like, but I'm talking about the completion side. Casually, I think this is a very, very good looking Crash Bandicoot game. I actually, the new models, I had to get used to the new models, I will admit, but overall, like, the game's got a lot of charm. The presentation is great. I like new Torna, I think, like, I like classic design Torna, but I like that Torna is actually a thing, like, she's doing stuff, so that's cool. I like the idea of Entropy coming back, and the fact that this is an actual proper sequel to Crash 4. I actually like that they continue from that. It's a shame that Entropy kind of got screwed over, and then ended up being Cortex as the final dude. Slight spoiler, I guess, but it was still cool. It was more time travel. It was some cool themes and such there. I always felt like the game was a kind of a mix between classic Crash and Twinsanity. This is also another controversial game. Not everyone likes this game, and honestly, that's fair. Crash Bandicoot 4, once again, is another controversial game. Casually, I would say it's an A tier. It's not an S tier. I would even argue you might even put it in as a B tier. Completing it really just... The completion side, in my opinion, is what really drags it down. But I actually kind of like the story. I like the twist that there's a female Entropy, even if it gets a bit weird, and that Dingo Doll is actually retired and you get to play as him. Like, that's cool, right? Little things like that. But there are also a lot of problems, little things like that I don't like about the game. The new masks, those power-ups are cool, and the masks' personalities, they're fine, they're cool. I like that. That's perfectly fine and all that. And it has one of my favorite levels, which is Offbeat. Absolutely love Offbeat in Crash Bandicoot. Crash Bandicoot 4 Is About Time. Some things I wish they'd have done better and whatnot, but I'm trying to speak as just playing the game casually. I'd say it's an A. Completing it really knocks it down to about a C. A middle ground would be a B, I suppose, but I'm gonna leave it an A. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it an A. Like, casually, I enjoyed it. It's a tough game. Like I say, it's Crash Bandicoot. I would say it's definitely Crash Bandicoot 1 hard, if not even harder. So yeah, believe it or not, I'm gonna stick with it. There you go. So that is my Crash Bandicoot tier list. I hope you did enjoy. Please let me know what yours is in the comments section below. This may change if I play more Crash Bandicoot games, but for now this is what the list is going to be. So yeah, I'll see you all in the next video, and be sure to subscribe for more Crash Bandicoot videos. Till then, take care.